Aemond stared at you with a chilling air about him. Something in his single eye made you feel like he was staring through your soul. His other was covered by an eye patch. "Hello," he said coolly. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" His eye looked you up and down, taking it all in for a brief moment. He then gave a small smirk. "I am quite well. Can't complain. And you?" "It's a long journey from Dawn." "That's to be expected, I'd imagine. You are very far from home. What brings you here?" He was surprised by your appearance, as you were clearly one of the more beautiful women he'd ever spoken to. But he did his best to keep himself impassive and nonchalant. Aemond's eye widened. He leaned back in his chair, taking a moment to size you up again. "Oh, really now?" he said in a slightly surprised tone. "And may I ask which Targaryen prince they have paired you with?" Aemond raised a curious eyebrow. It was curious that they weren't telling you who you would be marrying. "Interesting," he said. "Can I ask you something? If you do not know who you are being wed to, I assume you also do not know which Targaryen prince you would prefer to wed, correct?" Aemond couldn't keep his lip from curling into a sly smile. He had a feeling that he knew where this was going. "Let us indulge a hypothetical," he began. "If you could pick any of them to be your future husband, which one would you choose?" Aemond almost chuckled at your choice. "Ah, Prince Jacaerys. Yes, he is around your age," he said, hiding his contempt for the man. "What makes you choose him?" Aemond chuckled to himself. "Fair enough, I suppose." He thought for a moment. "Well there's Aegon and Jacaerys, who you seem to have crossed off your list, Luke. No, wait, you've also crossed that one off your list, as he's engaged to Rhaena, which would leave." He raised an eyebrow at you. "Me." He smirked. "That's right, me." His eye studied you intently. "Does this surprise you?" "Indeed it is," he said with a smirk. "But let us play a little game. See if I might not be more appealing to you. A simple yes or no. I will ask you any question I want, and you will either answer with a yes or a no. Does that sound fair?" Aemond smirked. "Perfect. Then I shall begin." He took a sip of his wine before addressing you. "I understand it is the custom in Dawn to engage in more intimate relations before marriage. Is that correct?" Aemond seemed amused by your reaction. "Come now. You're telling me you're not even sure of your own culture's customs." Aemond smiled. "Let's rephrase that then. What do you think? Would you like more freedom to explore intimate relations before marriage?" Aemond found himself laughing for the first time in a while. "Come now, is it really that silly?" He leaned in close. "You can't deny that there is some element of curiosity. After all," he motioned with his eye to all of the other princes, "you have options." "Maybe, maybe not," he said with a smirk. "But I must wonder if you are curious." Aemond's eye roamed up and down your body. "You were a very beautiful woman. I'm sure every prince in the room is wondering what you look like without that gown," he chuckled. "Although, I'm sure even more would be wondering if you weren't betrothed. I suppose they'll have to simply wonder." Aemond's smirk widened. "Don't roll your eyes at me. Come now, you're supposed to answer these questions." He took hold of your chin, tilting it up to look at him. "Let's ask again. Do you want to explore intimacy before marrying me?" Aemond did indeed notice all of the eyes on the pair of you. But instead of backing off, he leaned in, his breath tickling your ear. "And what if I am?" he said in a low voice. "What if I can't stand the thought of you in the hands of another prince? What if I'm desperate to have you for myself?" He leaned back slightly to look at you. His eye was burning as it stared into yours. "Oh, but I quite like my odds so far." He raised his hand to your cheek, gently caressing it for a moment. "If you could choose, you'd pick me, wouldn't you?" Aemond chuckled. He could tell that you were trying to resist, but your reddening cheeks spoke volumes. He leaned in close again, his hand now lingering on your waist. "You're trying so desperately to hide it," he said in a low voice. "But it's obvious that you were affected by me. Why won't you answer my question?" Aemond's smirk widened as he heard you giggle. He liked that he was starting to get to you. He leaned in even closer, his mouth hovering just above your ear. His hand on your waist tugged you just a bit closer. "You love watching me want you, do you?" he said in a low, husky voice. "Is it because you want me as well?" Aemond chuckled when you spoke. He was enjoying this back and forth, but it was starting to be too much for him. He wanted more. He wanted to hear you say it. "No?" he said in a low voice. "And why not? I can keep a secret." He gently caressed your cheek again with his hand, while the one on your waist gently dug into your skin. "Come on, my dear. You can tell me. Tell me what you want." Aemond rolled his eye, but he could not help but smirk. He was thoroughly enjoying your cheeky attitude. He leaned away from you for a moment to reach for the nearest bottle of wine, filling your glass to the brim. He then handed it back to you with a smirk. "Will that be enough to satisfy your thirst, my dear?" Aemond was well aware of all the eyes on the both of you, but he didn't care. All that mattered was you. You were all that he could seem to focus on. He let his gaze wander over your body as you sipped your wine, taking in every curve and contour. You've got everyone here distracted, you know," he said in a low voice. "They can't take their eyes off of you." Aemond chuckled at your statement. He didn't even bother to deny it. It was true. "How could I look away?" he said, his hand on your waist gently running up and down your side. You're the most captivating woman in this entire room."